YouTube. How we doing, family? It's your boy Yo, and there's another episode of Yo Hoops. We go through every NBA game every day. Today's Wednesday, April 2nd, and we have a 9-game NBA card. I'm going to walk you through every game, let you know which sides I like, and stick around because I have 2 highlighted selections for today. I do this every day for free, so please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your favorite game in the comment section below. Without further ado, let me get into today's recap. Recapping yesterday, we cashed our highlighted play of the day. We took the Minnesota Timberwolves plus 2.5 and split on the money line for plus 125 odds in Denver against the Denver Nuggets. It was a thriller to say the least. The Joker dropped 61, 11, and 10, a 60-point triple-double, and the game went into double overtime. Russell Westbrook really missed the go-ahead layup, then fouled Nickeil Alexander-Walker on a 3 with 0.1 seconds. We were lucky to cash the money line, but it was nice to start the month off on the right foot. Let's keep that momentum rolling, and without further ado, let me get into today's games. In our first matchup of the evening, we have the Charlotte Hornets in Indiana taking on the Indiana Pacers. Pacers are laying 14.5 points, and the total is 223. The Hornets are, of course, without LaMelo Ball for the rest of the season, but a lot of their secondary guys are going tonight. The Pacers come into this one slightly banged up. Benedict Mathurin and Miles Turner are both listed as questionable. If you've watched my show before, you know I back the Pacers in spots. Thing is, you also know they stay fumbling these extended point spreads. Yeah, they beat the Wizards by 60 points the other night, but that's the worst team in the league playing banged up. I wouldn't be surprised if they air out the Hornets this close to the playoffs, but there's no way I'm expecting them to do so. We're taking the Hornets plus the 14.5 as our first selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the New York Knicks in Cleveland taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavs are laying 11 points, and the total is 229.5. This one might get ugly. The Knicks are on the second leg of a back-to-back, flying from New York to Cleveland. Jalen Brunson, Cameron Payne, and Miles McBride are all still ruled out. Then Karl Anthony Towns is listed as questionable. The Cavs come into this one rested at full strength, and I think they run the Knicks out of the gym. These teams played on February 21st of this year, and the Cavs won 142-105 in Cleveland. Jalen Brunson played in that game, and the Cavs still won by margin. This is a bad spot for the Knicks. We're taking the Cavs laying the 11 as our first highlighted selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Sacramento Kings in Washington taking on the Washington Wizards. Kings are laying 13 points, and the total is 231.5. I really like how the Kings looked in that last game against the Pacers. They covered against the spread, and their offense was showing some consistency. The Kings are 1 game ahead of the Suns in the West, currently in the 10th spot. I expect them to be locked in here. This is basically a must-win, and they should beat up on the Wizards no problem. The Wizards are sitting a majority of their guys, and they currently have the worst record in the league, so we probably see tank mode. Like I said earlier, the Wizards just lost to the Pacers by 60 points. I typically don't take multiple favorites as my best bets, but this is the perfect spot for the Kings to throttle them. We're taking the Kings laying the 13 as our second highlighted selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Miami Heat in Boston taking on the Boston Celtics. Celtics are laying 10.5 points, and the total is 212. The injury reports for both sides are concerning coming into this one. The Heat will be without Andrew Wiggins, Duncan Robinson, Kevin Love, and Nikola Jovic. On the Celtics side, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, and Kristaps Porzingis are all listed as questionable. Then Al Horford is listed as doubtful. This is a rivalry-style game. It feels like these teams always match up in the playoffs, and the Heat always play them tough. They played last month on March 14th, and the Celtics won that one 103-91 in Miami. I think the Heat return the favor and at least get the ATS cover in Boston. The Celtics did just get a win and cover over the Grizzlies in their last game, but I've told you guys what they do coming off an ATS win. They're 19, 35, and 1 against the spread in the following game, second worst in the league. I won't be surprised at all if Miami has a chance to win this one down the stretch, but we're taking the Heat plus the 10.5 as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Utah Jazz in Houston taking on the Houston Rockets. Rockets are laying 17.5 points, and the total is 227. The Rockets are obviously the far more talented team, but 17.5 is a lot to lay. The Jazz are in tank mode, tied for the worst record in the league, but they can lose this game and keep it within the number. Walker Kessler and Colin Sexton are both questionable. They may go, and the Jazz bench has almost looked better than their starters in spots. The Rockets do have an elite defense, but I cannot say the same thing about their offense. They have no bucket getters. Jalen Green shoots 42% from the field, and Van Fleet shoots 39%. From your two primary scorers, that's insane. They probably win this game, but with that kind of offense, it's hard to cover a 20-point spread. We're taking the Jazz plus the 17.5 as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Atlanta Hawks in Dallas taking on the Dallas Mavericks. Mavs are laying 4 points, and the total is 239.5. The Hawks come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, flying from Atlanta to Dallas. They lost by double digits last night to the Blazers, so here on no rest, I think they're in trouble. It was extremely concerning that the Mavs lost that last game outright to the Brooklyn Nets, but the Nets have been competitive, especially of late. Anthony Davis is playing, and now Derek Lively is questionable, so he may go. I can really see this game going either way. I'm not in a rush to bet Dallas in this spot, but they're getting healthy, and I think we do see a play-in appearance this season. I will add, I really like the Mavericks money line here, but we're taking the Mavs laying the 4 as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the San Antonio Spurs in Denver taking on the Denver Nuggets. Nuggets are laying 9.5 points, and the total is 231.5. The Nuggets come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, but no travel as they remain at home in Denver. They were playing banged up last night, no Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr., but those guys are questionable tonight. The Spurs are, of course, playing banged up themselves, but something tells me they compete in this one. In their last 10 games, they've kept it within 10 points against teams like the Cavs, the Celtics, and the Knicks. Here, with Denver on no rest, I think they put up a fight. The Nuggets game last night went into double overtime, so a lot of guys played over 50 minutes. The Joker played 53. Is it fun fading the Nuggets in Denver? No, but here, I think it's the right play. I might even sprinkle a couple dollars on the money line, but we're taking the Spurs plus the 10.5 as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Detroit Pistons in Oklahoma City taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thunder are laying 13 points, and the total is 232. Sheesh, I learned my lesson fading OKC. Of course, I ride with them a majority of their games, but I thought the Bulls could at least keep it within 20. The Thunder are on that type of run that I'm not trying to step in front of right now. As home favorites, they're now 25, 11, and 2 against the spread. The Pistons are still without Cade Cunningham, and here, they probably get ran out of the gym. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Detroit wins this game outright on the money line just because everyone's back betting on the Thunder, but I'm not going to overcomplicate it. We're taking the Thunder laying the 13 as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our last and final matchup of the evening, we have the New Orleans Pelicans in LA taking on the LA Clippers. Clippers are laying 17.5 points, and the total is 217.5. The Pelicans announced that they're sitting CJ McCollum and Zion Williamson for the season, officially throwing in the towel. I do expect the Pelicans to play hard tonight, but the Clippers are a team that doesn't take their foot off the gas. When they're playing bad teams and they get a lead, they'll run it up to 40, 50 points. Kawhi Leonard, Norman Powell, and James Harden are all playing here, and I don't think the Pels stand a chance. The Clippers are the best home favorites in the league at 17-6 against the spread, and they probably stack number 18 tonight. We're taking the Clippers laying the 17.5 as our last and final selection of the evening. And that's going to conclude today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We're now 1-0 to start April, but let's keep that momentum rolling and make it an absolutely huge one. Like I mentioned in yesterday's video, the regular season does end on April 13th, so we have 2 weeks, but let's make it our best 2 weeks yet. I appreciate your support so much. I do this every day for free, so please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's your boy, Yo! And until the next one, I'm going to catch y'all. Peace.